right. So last night's homework, you were you're combining like terms and you're distributing using the distributive property to combine your like terms. So here's a couple of problems that I screenshotted from your worksheet, and we are going to go over number 5, which I copied again right here. Okay, so when you are combining your like terms, and notice this isn't an equation, it's an expression, okay? You still have to follow the order of operations, right? Which is parentheses first, then exponents, then take care of all multiplication and division in order of appearance, and then all addition, subtraction in order of appearance. So if we look at our problem here, we're like, okay, well, there is a parentheses there. So how do I get rid of that parentheses? And so a lot of people think, oh, well, combine whatever's inside. But if we look at what's inside, we have a negative 3x and a 2. And basically, the thing I want you to remember about this is that, hey, 3x is an x term and 2 is a constant. So I mark them differently because they are not like terms. You can't combine them, and they're inside the parentheses. So then the question becomes, well, how do we get rid of the parentheses? Okay, so then what you need to do is you need to go look in front of the parentheses, and you want to see what number is being multiplied to this whole parentheses. Because if there's a number out there, then we have to do the distributive property to multiply. And then by doing so, it gets rid of our parentheses. Okay, so if we look here, we're like, well, there is no number there. Okay, but remember, there's like an invisible 1. Okay, anytime there's no number there, when we have like minus whatever quantity, it's really like a negative 1 times that quantity. Okay, the other thing you can think of is that negative is like the opposite of, okay? So we didn't do anything with this negative 1, so that negative 1 stays there. So now we are just gonna focus on this part here. We're not even gonna look at that negative 7x or that 8. We're just gonna look right here where I circled in blue. Okay, so what is the opposite of a negative 3x? Oh, it's a plus 3x. Okay, because it's a 1, I don't need to multiply by a number like 2, 3, or 4, right? If it was a negative 2, then I would draw my area model and draw the box model to find the area. But because we're just doing the opposite of, I'm just doing it straight without the box. Okay, so the opposite of a minus 3x is a positive 3x, right? That's doing this. Negative 1 times negative 3x. Negative 1 times that 2 is thinking of what's the opposite of a plus 2. And the opposite of a plus 2 is a minus 2. Okay, that didn't work out so nice, but that's okay. Okay, so now that we have distributed that negative 1 into the parentheses, we have gotten plus 3x minus 2. Okay, that is the simplified expression for this circled blue part here of our expression. Okay, and so because we distributed, we don't need the parentheses anymore. This is it. Okay, so now we can bring down everything else that we haven't touched, like the minus 7x and the plus 8. We didn't do anything with those. They are still there. They didn't go anywhere. Okay, so now we go ahead and we look, okay, where are our like terms? Okay, actually, I'm going to erase right over here. Okay, so our like terms, let's underline in blue our x terms. We have a plus 3x, so remember, count the symbol in front with it. We have a minus 7x, and that's the only x terms we have. Okay, then if we go ahead and use black, then we have negative 1 is a constant, negative 2 is a constant, and plus 8 is a constant. So now we have pretty much underlined every term in our expression. Okay, so now we can go ahead and start combining our like terms. 3x minus a 7x, think of it as adding different signs. One is a positive 3x, the other is a minus 7x. They are different signs, and we're going to add them together. So Same signs, add and keep. These are different signs. Okay, different signs we subtract. So we go big absolute value, which is -7, but the absolute value of -7 is 7. And minus the small absolute value, which is 3. And that's how we get 4, right? So different signs subtract, but we keep the sign of the larger. Who is the larger guy? Oh, the -7. So this becomes a -4x. Okay, and so we've combined our x terms. Now we want to combine our constants, okay? So -1 minus 2. Remember, carry the signs with them. So we have a negative and a negative, that same sign. Same signs, add and keep. So that becomes a -3. Okay, we already took care of this -7. We combined it with this 3x, so we don't need to worry about that. But we still have this +8. So it's good to just bring it down, +8. Okay, and then combine these guys. -3 plus 8, that is different signs. So again, different signs subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5. Keep the sign of the larger, which is the +8. So it is a +5. Okay, and that +5, that positive part is pretty much like the plus sign. And we bring down the -4x. -4x. So all of this, yes, simplified to become this expression here. Okay, and so that is combining like terms with the distributive property.